When do you rush? Like if you've got a list of things that you see on, say, someone's Instagram or whatever, are you just, I'm getting in the car the moment I am legally allowed to and getting down to the store? Because other nerds are going to be like, oh, I'm going to
Oh
go
yeah.
for that, whatever OG Press or whatever that I just saw for a good price.
Oh yeah, if there's something like I see on one of those flip through videos or something, and I'm like, okay, I haven't seen that ever in the wild, I'm going as soon as I can that day, and I'm gonna hope it's still there. Which I have done in the past for especially like anything like from like the 80s, 90s, especially the hair metal stuff. If you ever see any of that, that goes quick in probably about any record store anywhere
Yeah.
because that stuff is usually kind of rare because they didn't press that many of them. So if you can see it and it's a decent price, I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm leaving right now. I will
Cool.
be there in a heartbeat.
I wanted to start episode 12 here by asking a question about CDs. CDs are hotter than they've ever been in recent years,
It's
anyway. The
true. Yep.
kids are refinding CDs. They're the budget collectors market right now rather than vinyl in some ways. They sound good, they sound great. How much
100%.
better do my vinyl records sound through my stereo compared to my CDs? I don't know. How would you
Debatable, huh?
say exactly right? What about you? How much of a difference do you think your vinyl records sound compared to your CDs?
I would say it depends which system I'm listening to them on. Like my system that I have out here in my main listening room, I think I give the vinyl a slight edge, but I played some CDs just the past couple weeks that I'm just like, gosh, this sounds really, really good.
I like to trick
So,
myself into thinking my vinyl sounds amazing compared to my CDs, but then I'll actually
I mean,
have an
that's
album on vinyl that I also have on CD, and if I actually do the test back and forth, I'm like, okay, maybe it doesn't sound that different. I've run
and
into
yeah,
that.
I actually did that with Pink Floyd "Wish You Were Here." Actually, I like compared the two, and I'm like, okay, that vinyl sounds really good. But then I was like, that I played the CD, and then I'm like, I might give that to the CD. That was mastered really well too. So it's like,
Right, it all
it's
comes down to the mastering and
right,
remastering. So there's
right.
a ton of factors involved, but given generally the same scenario, let's just say original album on vinyl that got released on CD at the same time, and they're all pretty much the same
Yeah.
master or whatever with a little bit of difference because they did the RIA curve and everything. I
Oh, right, right.
usually can't tell that much of a difference through my stereo. Now I recognize I'm not an audiophile and I don't have a hundred
Oh,
thousand
and I'm
dollar
not either.
stereo
I was,
system, but
yeah.
it doesn't suck, and I usually can't tell that much of a difference. So it comes up in a case like I just had yesterday where I saw a stack of OG vinyl and I got in my car and got the heck down there and started digging through the bins as while other people were racing to it.
Right, yeah.
And I came across Sinead O'Connor, The Lion and the Cobra, original pressing for $37. $37 for a fantastic condition press of that is not a bad price whatsoever.
No, not at all.
It may be one of the greatest albums of the 1980s, arguably. I think it's excellent. I truly think it
It's
might be one of the
it's
best.
it's up there.
It's up
Exactly.
there. I
I
mean,
would say it's
Disintegration's also
definitely
in
up
the
there.
mix, but
Yep,
whatever,
yep, yep. Right.
So, do I buy it since I already have it on CD? And I was just listening to my CD recently remarking on how great of an album it was.
Right.
For me, I had
You
to
know,
say no.
we all go through that though, I think. If you collect CDs and vinyl both, I think all collectors go through that.
Yeah.
And I guess it comes down to how much do you love the album and do you want the pleasure, I guess, of getting up and flipping it when that side's over on vinyl. And then if, like I said, if you feel that your system is great and you like the way your system sounds, maybe that vinyl is going to sound better to you. And I'm glad you said it too. I am not an audiophile either by any stretch of the means, and I don't really have an audiophile system. But I mean, I think my stuff sounds good, and I like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
So, and I think that that's where it comes down to. It's like for you, are you happy with the system and the setup that you have, and does it sound good to you? And I think that's all that matters. And then you just gotta kind of do that little spinning in your head. It's like, okay, would I listen to this on vinyl versus just grabbing for the CD, because it would be easier to grab for the CD than having to go through the whole ritual of the vinyl. And most of the time I will pick the stuff up on vinyl too, but it just really depends on what it is. I
The
mean,
artwork's
there's some stuff.
lovely, the nice big
Right.
artwork, and that can make a huge difference. And
Exactly.
of course, if it's a remaster or it's a new press or a whole bunch of
Yeah.
whatever reasons, it can sound maybe better
Right.
than that old CD. But most of the time, it doesn't for me. And so but we live in an era of everything's being reissued on these nice $40 vinyl record sets and everything. And so, especially if you're a CD collector, either new or old, you have to kind of go, I can literally get this CD for like $2 at a record
Right.
store, thrift store, or whatever. Should I really spend $40 for that new repress?
See, yeah, and that's what you gotta, like I said, we all go through it, and we all have that battle in our head. And I stood in many a record store having that battle in my head many, many a time.
Yeah. In many cases, I've said no, because if I'm going to buy a new, really high quality album, I prefer it to be something not in my collection rather than something in my collection.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why in one of our top fives, for example, in this show, I'm going to have a couple of CDs rather than vinyl records, despite this being the Record Players podcast. And the reason is I bought it back in the day on CD, and I'm still listening to it, and it still sounds great.
Right.
And I'm not willing to pay that collector market price for something that I already have that sounds good.
No, 100%.
As much of a vinyl fan as I am, you got to
Right.
say no sometimes.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. And like I said, we all go through it, and we all have our reasonings in our head why we do it. And I've done it, and then I've regretted it when I got home. I'm like, I really should have bought that. And I'll go back, and it'll be gone. And I'm like, I probably lost my chance at getting that, whatever it was. That's probably only the one of two times I may have seen that in the wild. And I'm like, did I just screw up badly?
I probably should have bought that line in the Cobra, because I'm not kidding. It really is a good album if you don't know that one. I mean, even if you don't think you
haven't listened to
Sinead
it.
O'Connor, you should listen to that album, because that album is just exceptional. Yeah.
I have not listened to it in a long time, but from what I remember, it was a very, very good album.
Yeah.
Now will return the phoenix from the flame. I have learned I will rise, and you'll see me return, being what I am. There is no other choice for me to burn. And you should have left the light on. You should have left the light on. Then I wouldn't have tried. You'd never have known.
Someday we're going to do, I was actually thinking maybe within the next couple of episodes, but I want to confer with you first before we
Okay.
put it into stone, is I want to do top 5 80s records, but not when people think 80s records, they think 80s pop music. And I want to be
Right.
manufactured in the 1980s, all genres, top 5.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
do you have any idea how hard that's going to be?
Oh, that's going to be
Because you're
harder than
talking
what...
metal, you're talking speed metal, you're talking punk,
Oh, yeah.
you're talking alternative, you're talking pop, of course.
That's going to be probably the hardest list we've done, which I thought the one that we're doing later today was the hardest list I've done, but that one's going to be much harder.
Yeah, because we could just
Yeah.
do 80s pop music and call it done and do the traditional 80s sound, but there's a lot more
I
than
kind
that.
of like, I got to say, I kind of like the 80s just encompassing all of the 80s, because I mean there was some really good country in the 80s
Mhm.
too, so you could have like a country album on your list, and then you could have like a thrash metal album on your list, and people would be like, "What? Like, what is happening right now?"
It wouldn't make my top 5 here, but I've got a couple of these Dolly Parton records that I think
Right.
are among
Oh,
her
yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, exactly. So, fun list. Exactly.